believe me, I would do anything in my power. I would do anything in my power to undo what was done. I don't know how that bullet arrived in that gun. I don't know. But I'm all for doing anything that will take us to a place where this is less likely to happen again.
This video is brought to you by the Officer Tatum Store, the Officer Tatum Store. Ladies and gentlemen, 40% off all the items on the clearance rack. The new items are not included in that 40% off. I just want you to know it's just our clearance items. Obviously, we have the brand new premium line that I just established called the Tatum line, Tatum Signature line, the best product on the market that you're going to get. These jackets are off the chain. I wore it to the SHOT Show, and people were going crazy over this jacket. We also have the oversized hats. We call it the noggin hats. I mean, I could wear them in another video to show you. These are incredible. And we got the special limited edition The Officer Tatum show hats that you can get. All of these are available right now, and we got a bunch of items coming soon for pre-order, so make sure you pre-order them now. Like and subscribe to the channel, hit the bell so you get notification anytime we go live. I make a video. Make sure you still subscribe to this channel, like this video, comment on this video, share this video. Let's get into this. Ladies and gentlemen, ladies, welcome back to the Officer Tatum Show. Alec Baldwin will be charged with involuntary manslaughter in the fatal shooting of the young lady who was a cinematographer. I don't know if that's what she was. She was working on the set. I could be just making up roles, but she was working on the set. I think she was a cinematographer. Right. The armor and Alec Baldwin will be charged. I think rightfully so, because it doesn't mean that you are a bad person. It means that you were negligent. That's how you get charged with involuntary manslaughter. Because Alec Baldwin, with the firearm in his hand, right, whether it's real or not, he has a duty to verify that he's not holding a gun with live ammunition. The armorer is even more guilty, in my opinion, because as an armorer, your whole effing job is for you to make sure you don't have a real gun in a prop gun set.
I'm sorry to explode my guy, but it's like no one's ever worked on TV here before.
Demonstration with Hannah Reed, the armorer.
24-year-old Hannah Gutierrez Reed, seen here in photos by the DailyMail.com, was hired as the film's armorer, in charge of all weapons on set. The daughter of a famous Hollywood armorer, Rust was only her second film in this role. She spoke to the Voices of the West podcast about working as lead armorer for her first film before Rust.
I was really nervous about it at first, and I almost didn't take the job because I wasn't sure if I was ready, but doing it, it went really smoothly.
We spent an hour and a half shooting the pistol, her giving me all her safety instructions.
Did you think she was up to the job?
I assumed because she was there and she was hired, she was up for the job.
And nothing she did raised any red flags with you?
No.
How do you let a real gun, I think I'm gonna lose my mind. How do you let me just explain to you guys how hard this is, and then I'll explain the charges of Alec Baldwin and the armorer Rust, which is, I think, I'll go through it. I think the company and him, and it's a certain person named Gutierrez Reed, and then Alec Baldwin. We'll go through the charges from the law enforcement perspective here in a second. But the negligence is mind-blowing. When I was a police officer, we used to shoot live shoot house, and we also had simunition, force-on-force simunition rounds. Simunition rounds are not real bullets. They're like paintballs in the shape of a bullet, and they'll break the skin. If you get caught right on the skin a couple times, they'll break the skin. It took us like an hour to transition from live guns to simunition guns. And there were so many steps in between and so many checks after checks after checks set up that it was impossible for you to have live rounds in the vicinity of the facility where we are using simunition rounds. Literally, we were in the parking lot and there's stations. Everybody had to dump their firearms, meaning that nobody had the firearm. All you can have is the lowers of the firearm, because the uppers, they are simunition uppers. So you take the lowers. Now, if you don't know anything about guns, the lower is just the part where the trigger's on. No mechanism to fire anything. You can't shoot anything with a lower. So we store our guns in the car the uppers in the car. We take the lowers. You get checked. Every person on the team gets checked to make sure you have no live ammo on your person, and you only have a lower in your possession. No other ammo is allowed. They check you, pat you down. You go to the armory. They've already checked the armory to make sure that there's no live uppers. It's only simunition uppers. They check them. There's a whole staff that checks it, and they have a checklist where they check it and sign off on it. You go up and you put the upper on. You put the upper on your lower device, and you check it, and you have to sign off that you checked it. And once you get past that phase, you get double checked twice by two different people to pat you down again and to check your firearm and make sure that it's the simunition upper and the lower with no ammunition. And then you go in the shoot house. You go into the live fire scenario. That's the only way you make it past that point. It literally takes us an hour. It's annoying. But it is impossible for somebody to have live ammunition in that scenario. How you're on a movie set. There can't be that many people that are going to have access. This is a low stress environment. At least the setup and the preparation is low stress. How do you get live ammunition in the same area as blanks? It shouldn't even be in the same area. It shouldn't even be on the same campus.
The first thing you do when you pick up that gun is you make sure that it's never pointed at anybody.
He should have known that an AD handing you a gun and saying it's cold isn't the same as several people showing you an empty gun.
If I were holding that gun, I would have checked it, wouldn't you?
Mm-hmm. Like your firearm should be locked away somewhere. Nobody should have firearms on the set. No, not even close to the set. But the negligence of these people, the arrogance of some of these people ended up resulting in that young lady losing her life. So the first judicial district attorney made mention that they will both be charged. Alec Baldwin and Rust, the armorer. I think Rust is probably the person's nickname. The armorer is the name of the film. Okay. I guess it's Rust Armorer. So they work for the film company and separate from Alec Baldwin. I don't know why. It's so the armorer, Hannah Gutierrez Reed, will both be charged. Now, they're going to be charged both with involuntary manslaughter. But the jury is not only going to have to deem if they're guilty of that, the jury is going to have to decide what level of involuntary manslaughter that they're involved in, right? They're going to decide not only if they're guilty, but under which definition of involuntary manslaughter they were guilty under. And that's going to have its own a particular penalty. It says Assistant Director David Halls signed a plea agreement to the charge of negligent use of a deadly weapon. The prosecutor said he agreed to a suspended sentence and 6-month probation. No charges will be filed over the non-fatal shooting of Rust director Joel Souza. So there's the non-fatal shooting, right? I mean, non-fatal shooting and then the fatal shooting. I think there was multiple rounds that went off. Somebody got struck, but it wasn't fatal, or it hit like a camera or something, the cameraman or something. It wasn't fatal, but then the young lady was fatally shot. So I think that that's the appropriate charge from a law enforcement perspective. I think we have to understand that involuntary manslaughter, it means that you didn't intentionally kill somebody, right? Manslaughter is typically unintentional, but negligence, like there's culpability to it, right? You did something improper that could have been avoided, yet what you did resulted in somebody's death. That's where the involuntary manslaughter, and all of those things lie. After the show, I'll probably look up the law and just see what levels to the law there is. Not after the show, maybe in the break, what levels to the law there is to see what they could possibly be facing if the jury decides something different than a standard, I'm sorry, this happened, and you probably spend like a year in prison. But here's the big question too, and then I got to go to the break. I wonder what will be the plea in this case. Will they allow Baldwin and Gutierrez Reed to actually plead guilty? Because David Hall pled guilty and then he got his sentence suspended. So we'll see if they plead guilty or not.